What's up YouTube? My name's Rhett. I'm a software engineer and entrepreneur living here in Houston, Texas. And I'm here today to take you guys through the different risks of investing in a mining rig through the Compass mining platform. Last year I purchased a 140 terahash Antminer through Compass mining for about $16,000. And that mining rig is allegedly supposed to come online in August later this year. I covered my decision to purchase the Antminer in a video that I did earlier this year that I'll link up in the card. So check that out if you're interested in some of that logic. But on this channel, I never want it to feel like I'm only promoting the positive sides of something without ever talking about the risks, especially when we've seen all these blowups in the crypto space in the last couple of weeks and months. So today I'm going to be covering a lot of the different risks to Bitcoin mining in general, and then specifically extra risks that you're taking on when you invest in a Bitcoin miner through Compass mining. And of course, these risks should be taken into account versus just normally dollar cost averaging Bitcoin, which is your other method for accumulating Bitcoin for the long run. Down in the video timeline, I'll have all the different risks that we're talking about during this video, so feel free to jump around to different ones if there's a specific one that you're interested in. I'm going to be going through each of these risks a little quickly just so that the video isn't too long, but feel free to leave a comment down below if you want me to expand on any of the risks down in the comments or in another video. I do still respond to all the comments. So go down below and smash the like button for investing in risky assets just for the stellar YouTube content, and let's level up your brains. The first risk that we're going to talk about here today is the one that I've seen the most people in the Compass mining Discord before it was shut down complain about, and that's execution risk or counterparty risk. The biggest piece of this risk is that for whatever reason, Compass mining or the mining facility that they're hosting your miner at are unable to get your miner online on time, which is something that has happened continuously to people that bought miners through Compass mining during 2021. Obviously, the faster your miner comes online, the faster you can start making money. Not getting your miner online on time can be a major hit to your profitability, especially if you're someone like me who bought their miner when miners were much more expensive than they are today. With Compass mining, you also run into the risk that Compass mining runs into internal disputes with some of these different mining hosting facilities, like what happened at the end of June. And the fallout of that, of course, was that CEO Whit Gibbs and CFO Jody Fisher ended up resigning from Compass mining. And it seems like they're going to start bringing in more experienced business people to deal with this very logistically challenging business. At the end of the day, Compass mining's business is very operationally complex. When you choose Compass mining versus dollar cost averaging or controlling the entire mining lifecycle when you're mining at home, for example, right? You're controlling the electricity, you're controlling the mining unit, you're controlling the security of the device, etc., etc. You go from being a full owner in the situation of dollar cost averaging and at-home mining to becoming a partial owner who is in business with Compass mining and your hosting facility. Would you rather be a YouTube video creator partnering with YouTube, or would you rather be YouTube? Dollar cost averaging Bitcoin from profits that you make during your day job, maybe you're a dentist or an electrician, is being an owner of that business and investing in Bitcoin. You're being YouTube in that case. Partnering with Compass mining is a lot like using YouTube's platform to build a business on top of. It's definitely possible to do, and lots of people do it, but you're splitting your profits with some other entity and you're giving up some of your ability to influence the outcome of the business. If YouTube or if Compass mining went out of business overnight, YouTube creators and Compass mining users would be in a lot of trouble. So ultimately, when you choose to use a platform like Compass mining, you're putting a lot of trust in other people to execute the things that they say that they're going to do when they say that they're going to do them. The next risk we're going to talk about here is political risk. For example, what is the risk that the USA hijacks all of the Bitcoin miners within its jurisdiction or pulls a China and bans Bitcoin mining completely? I think it's unlikely, but it's definitely possible that certain states within the United States, like New York, for example, could ban Bitcoin mining. And if you had your operation hosted in one of those states, you would obviously have to either stop Bitcoin mining completely or move your mining operation to a different state. And if you're using something like Compass mining, again, you're giving up some of your control in that situation. You have to wait now for Compass mining to move your miner around to some other place. Whereas obviously if you lived in New York and you controlled every aspect of your Bitcoin mining operation, you would be able to pick it up and move to New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Connecticut, for example, if those were favorable jurisdictions. And obviously all of that downtime while you relocated your miner would affect your profitability. Last year, for example, Compass mining was hosting rigs in Russia that I imagine were heavily impacted by the global political situation that came about earlier this year. Again, there is no longer a public forum since Compass mining took down their Discord, which in my opinion is another huge red flag, right? Like they've cut off these communication channels so that we can all share information with each other. And that maybe gets back to counterparty risk. So again, when you own your own miner, this political risk is a little bit more under your control, right? You can pack up and move whenever is convenient for you or whenever you want to. But even if you own your own miner, you're not totally safe from situations like when China completely banned all mining within China. A subset of political risk is tax risk, which is pretty straightforward. If Bitcoin is given some unfavorable tax treatment, mining will likely also be given a similar unfavorable tax treatment just because you're producing Bitcoin, so you should be affected probably in the same way. However, if mining becomes taxed unfavorably for some sort of ESG reason, it doesn't necessarily follow that Bitcoin, the asset, would receive the same negative tax treatment. And so by getting into Bitcoin mining, you're not only accepting the tax risk that comes with Bitcoin itself, the asset, you're also accepting some additional risk of what if the industry of Bitcoin mining is also taxed unfavorably. Obviously, this could change jurisdiction to jurisdiction, which is sort of why it ties into political risk, but it's just something to be aware of. The next risk, also tangentially related to jurisdiction or political risk, is energy risk. I say that it's slightly related to political risk because politicians can enact energy policy that creates more scarcity in energy markets and drives up prices. Bitcoin is never going to be the first use for energy. It's always going to be the last case buyer of any excess energy. And so in the case of Compass mining, what if your hosting facility cuts off your miners specifically? Or what if the energy grid that is working with your hosting facility cuts off your hosting facility in general? With Compass mining, you have no control over that. Not your energy, not your miner. The hosting company or Compass mining could also increase your electricity costs, which obviously in the long run would probably make your miner less profitable. And again, if you're not using Compass mining and you're setting up this entire mining workflow by yourself, you're a little bit more insulated from this risk because if you're obviously controlling where the energy comes from, you probably won't be shut off from that energy source. But in the case that like global energy becomes very scarce, you're not really going to get away from this risk. And then there's obviously the caveat that the more you build out your own system, the more work you're obviously going to have to do, which sort of takes away from the plug and play nature of Compass mining. But just know that the more work you do, the more robust your mining operation will be. Next up, there's hardware risk. And this is the risk that Bitmain or WhatsMiner or whatever company is building your mining rig, what is the risk that that company is no longer able to build efficient miners that are mostly defect free? So what if a new generation of miner that is built by Antminer, for example, comes out, like the one that I purchased, the 140 terahash miner? What if this miner comes online and instead of a defect rate of 5%, what if this miner has a defect rate of 25%? And it either takes my miner offline in the first year and I have to do all of this maintenance to get it back up and running, or I get a replacement miner in the first year because of the warranty. How much money am I losing in that time? And then what if I go through the entire warranty period, my miner's fine, but then in year 2, there's a defect with this model where a bunch more of them than we normally expected go down to defects. Whenever you purchase a new product of any kind, there's always going to be this risk. It is difficult within mining because obviously the newest products are going to be the most cost effective theoretically because they wouldn't release a new product that wasn't super efficient and better than the last product. It's not guaranteed that the miner that you purchased is going to work 100% defect free. There could be lots of issues that could plague your individual miner that maybe don't plague your friend's miner. On top of this, there could be some sort of global semiconductor risk. Obviously, Bitmain and WhatsMiner are not at the top of the list of people to acquire semiconductors or any sort of chips. If Apple and Tesla need all the chips and there aren't very many chips left for whatever reason, it might be hard for Bitmain and these other mining rig producer companies to acquire the chips they need to continue to make Bitcoin miners. And so if that global supply chain slowed down for some reason, and then you go and purchase a miner, whether it's through Compass mining or not, there could be large delays in getting you that miner if global supply chains are very slow. Ultimately, the relevant question in this case of should I be Bitcoin mining using Compass mining or not is, does the risk-adjusted return of Bitcoin mining outperform dollar cost averaging? And when you're thinking about this question for yourself, here are some facts for you to keep in mind. If Bitcoin, the asset, goes to zero, Bitcoin mining will also go to zero. If certain miners go to zero, it doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin goes to zero. It could mean that Bitcoin goes up really high or goes down a little bit or stays flat. You investing in a single miner or a public mining company has nothing to do with the global Bitcoin market and whether the asset succeeds or fails. If Bitcoin goes to the moon, some Bitcoin miners might also go to the moon, but it's possible that others don't. The bottom line is that it's complicated and that Bitcoin mining doesn't translate one-to-one with buying Bitcoin, the underlying asset. Especially when you're buying a public company or really investing in Compass mining products, you're taking a little bit of execution risk and equity risk that the company that you're investing investing in is not going to be able to operate effectively. I'll leave a link up in the cards to a video that I did previously that tries to examine this question of whether Bitcoin mining, in the best case, outperforms dollar cost averaging. So check that out if you're interested in backtesting some of the dollar cost averaging versus mining data over a long period of time. So we covered a lot of risks in this video, and I'm not just here to spread FUD, but I do think that it's important for anyone that's going to make an investment into Bitcoin mining to understand the different risks that are associated, first of all, with Bitcoin mining, and then second of all, with a company like Compass Mining. I don't want this video to be all negative, so some quick benefits here at the end. If you buy your Bitcoin miner as part of a business, all of the costs that are associated with Bitcoin mining can become business expenses for you. Obviously not tax advice, not financial advice, but that's something that you can't really do easily with dollar cost averaging. So there is some tax advantage for you there. Also, if you're choosing to sell your Bitcoin right away once it's been mined, there is no custody risk for holding your Bitcoin because you've sold it right away. Whereas if you're dollar cost averaging Bitcoin, there will always be custody risk. And some people that are very good at custodying Bitcoin might argue that their custody risk is really low. But obviously when you go and you put your Bitcoin on a platform like Celsius, we've seen that there is actually massive custody risk. And so you totally get rid of this custody risk when you are mining Bitcoin and then selling it right away for dollars. Ultimately, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you have access to very cheap energy and you want to start a Bitcoin mining business, mining could be super profitable for you, and it might way outperform what you would have gotten from just dollar cost averaging Bitcoin. But if you're trying to get rich quick with no effort and live on a beach for the rest of your life, you might want to more carefully consider what you're doing with your money. If you guys want to learn more or get a second opinion on this whole dollar cost averaging versus Bitcoin mining risks situation, I'll leave a link down below to a podcast that was done between Michael Saylor and Saifedean a while back, where Michael Saylor did a really good job of outlining all of these different risks that we talked about in this video here today. Obviously, Saylor is slightly biased because he's one of the biggest Bitcoin dollar cost averagers in the entire world, but I think as always, he has a very thoughtful response to the question. If this video helped you guys better understand the mining risks, go down below and smash the like button so that YouTube shares this video around to other people, and hopefully we can better inform everyone of what the risks are to investing in a Bitcoin miner in general and then Compass mining more specifically. Comment down below if you guys think mining is worth it. My hunch is that it's probably not, other than in some certain situations that we've talked about today, but I'm excited to see how my miner performs when it hopefully goes online later this year. A lot of people in the comments of the last Compass mining videos have told me that their miners have not come online on time, and so that is just another example of execution risk and counterparty risk. So I'll be making sure to document all the progress of my miner coming online, hopefully, and then how much money it's making and what all the fees and little additional costs there are to mining Bitcoin using Compass mining. So if you guys are interested in some of that content, come back here every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern for a new video. I love you all. Goodbye.